The Great Wall from 2017. And wow, what a treat. What is it about the year 2017 that produced such an amazing crop of 3D converted films? This was suggested by Gary about 18 months ago. And well, I eventually got to it. My copy came from Germany and the 3D disc was region free. And what a surprise. I didn't know much about this movie. I had assumed it was sort of a loosely historical thing. So imagine my surprise when I discovered it's all about fighting some kind of zombie demon dogs. Actually, the premise is not terribly different than the situation between the White Walkers and the Ice Wall in Game of Thrones. Visually, there is nothing to complain about. Everything you'd hope to see in 3D is here and in abundance, starting with some nice hyper stereo vistas over wonderfully bumpy mountainous terrain that is just a pleasure to see. And we get arrows sticking out of things. Arrows and 3D make for such a lovely couple, and they give us some great tracking moments of these death sticks running through the air. Just very nice to see. There's a shtick involving an insane acrobatic type of soldier that gives you a beautiful feeling of heights. It's a part that almost seems like it was written for the purpose of showing up in stereo. Not only do we get people out on a thin plank above a valley, but there's also nice shots of cable holding their rigging together. But the real stars of the action sequences are, of course, the weird zombie attack dogs, for lack of a better description. There's just so many teeth, and they just love to bleed. For most movies, these effect shots would be just a few minutes scattered throughout the film. Here, I'd say at least half of the 90-minute runtime is some type of action. Just battle after battle, and a delight to see. We get things being flung through the air, leaving beautiful smoke trails in their wake, and just exploding on impact. Look at these massive pair of balls falling from the wall. This is just great. Every shot is great in stereo. One particular neat moment was a shot that takes us through the inner workings of the wall, showing various contraptions, gears, and plumbing. And they sort of track it all through a single shot that lasts quite a while. All these little details looking like some kind of mad fortified dollhouse. It actually brought to mind an old beer commercial. I can't remember the brand. There's always something to see, and from what I've read, visuals are what this director is known for. He directed not only movies, but also the epic 2008 Beijing opening and closing ceremonies. In that spirit, we also get these large, eloquent halls and many shots of a massive, colorful army in strict formation, basically China being China. Now, I've heard, although this is a complete fantasy film, that as a design, he wanted everything to at least have some basis in historical fact. So all the costumes, all the weaponry is somehow based on something that really existed at some point in time. There's a couple of moments where we see light shine through windows. We see it in both this tunnel and soon afterwards in a wonderful stained glass tower. I stepped through it frame by frame on the computer just to confirm that it was actually converted and not just an illusion. They somehow managed to convert the individual light beams. Not all of them, but with a careful look, you can see that anything at the back of the room starts to conform with the walls. And I was wondering just how they did this. And the best that I can figure is that the light in the middle of the room was actually CGI, and the conversion team probably had it as a separate layer. But wow, is it a wonderful moment to see light just being an independent thing in the middle of a room. Story-wise, it could almost be taken as a prequel to Matt Damon's more recent movie, The Duelist. Between the two movies, I found his character to be indistinguishable, and this could be that knight's younger years before he came back home and tried to settle down, which is a problem. One of the problems with The Duelist is his character was just so single-minded that there was never really a question as to what he was up to. And again, in The Great Wall, the action is great fun, but the plot, the emotion, hinges on Matt Damon wrestling with his conscience. But again, here, there is no question. There is never a moment where you believe he will ever make a wrong choice. Now, his sidekick tells us repeatedly that he's a rogue, a thief, but we never actually see him do anything bad. There's an irony here in that the movie does such an amazing job of showing us the fight, but resorts to telling rather than showing us anything about the human condition. It excels at depicting conformity, but seems confused at how to deal with anyone as individuals. We see this problem again with the scheme involving the Defoe character. Simply, he's a prisoner that wants to escape. It makes sense. He explains himself very well. It's just not very dramatic. We never actually see him being treated like a prisoner. There's nothing visual to hammer home his need to get out of there. If anything, it looks like he has free reign of the place. He seems to go where he wants. It occurred to me he could have been a ghost. The soldiers never speak to him, look directly at him, or do anything to acknowledge his experience. Maybe he just appears to newcomers to stir up mischief, and now that would have been an interesting twist. Sadly, though, his entire subplot could have been cut without any negative impact to the movie. Again, there's just no real heart outside of a battle. But even as it is, I really didn't feel that was a big deal. Just a very small footprint on an otherwise stellar movie. This isn't a story that's meant to burrow deep into the soul. It's just an epic fantasy war that stoically orders you to have fun.